Native American Spirituality, Religion, and Belief Systems by Sarah Rose Terry. Native Americans have rich and multifaceted spiritualities that focus primarily on the natural world and view the earth as a sacred provider to be worshipped and protected. Viewing the earth as a sacred maternal figure is central to the Native religions. In the Sioux story, The Meaning of the Sacred Pipe, it says, "For the earth is your grandmother and mother, and she is sacred. Every step that is taken upon her should be a prayer." From a blade of grass to the moon to a bird to a human being, everything in the universe is tied to one another and as such should be treated with the utmost respect. Native peoples and nature are embedded in one another, as the natural world is essential to the Native belief system. Respect and unity are two fundamental values at the center of the Native American religions, believing that all creatures deserve the same respect and are all connected to one another. While Native religions do vary by different sects, depending on which tribe or location that they are present in, there are central themes that remain the same across all of the different particular religions. In addition, Native American religions are polytheistic, not monotheistic. There are multiple gods or creators to be worshipped, as opposed to one primary god, such as in Christianity, Judaism, or Islam. In addition, Native American religions view time differently. They view time as eternal rather than linear. Time has an important role in Native religion because it is viewed differently than the traditional perception of time or the perception of time that we know well in the modern world. Native American religions are focused on eternal time, which is a concept that is very different from what we are accustomed to, as it no longer looks forward and views time existing on a timeline, so it is not linear. Instead, it's an atemporal way of viewing time. Time that is atemporal is all occurring at once. There is no past, present, or future. Native religions do rank things in reference to their proximity to creation, and this is another way that they use time. One example of this is the Winnebagos believing that the otter was created last due to its relative unintelligence. They believe that creatures who are created closer to the present day, or were created last by the creator as opposed to being created first, are less smart and are less worthy. So this carries over as a cultural belief into the treatment of elders in the Native tribal communities, because primal people or Native people respect their elders enormously. Being older, they are viewed as having more wisdom and more worth. One thing that is similar between Native American religions and the triad of Abrahamic religions of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam are the beliefs surrounding creation. There's a recurring theme of darkness in the beginning, followed by God or the Creator bestowing light upon the world. A Native quote that depicts the creation of the world writes, "There was no glimmer of dawn, no clearness, no light. And he began by saying these words, 'Darkness become a light possessing darkness.' And at once light appeared." God being the supreme creator of all things is another congruent theme. There's consistency in the belief that everything was created from nothing. Rather than having everything written down in a tangible record, their information and knowledge is passed down orally. People have recorded myths and legends from Native peoples. However, the natives themselves did not write any of these things down. Instead, songs and chants were used to convey this information. Songs and chants themselves are another similarity across all of the Native religions. Vocalizing, which is often accompanied by dancing and movement, as well as playing instruments such as drums, is a favored method of worship and prayer. Native Americans believed that to write down living myth and legend would be to imprison it and thereby cause its death. Storytelling is a vital piece of Native American culture, And as generations pass, the stories are passed along with them. The information, instead of being written down, is told verbally to sons and grandsons and daughters and granddaughters, so on and so forth. This method breeds a walking library. Everyone feeds the living reservoir of knowledge while receiving in return its answering flow of information that shapes and stalks their lives. Each member of the tribe becomes its walking library. So as they add to this library, they also take from this library. They are adding information and garnering information. And in this way, it is alive, and these myths and legends and this religious and spiritual information gets passed over the years. Passing on religious knowledge is a responsibility that is also tasked to shamans, who lead worship and healing ceremonies. Shamans have many jobs, ranging from leading prayer circles, performing rituals, acting as experts on native spirituality, serving as a source of leadership and advice within their tribal community, and even healing members of the tribe from a wide range of physical, psychological, and spiritual ailments. Shamans believe in spirits and in multiple realities, and these beliefs are essential to the shamanic ceremonies that they perform. Spirits in general are essential to native spirituality, as it is this understanding upon which much of the native religions are based. An Omaha tribe myth recounts that all creatures, including man, were spirits. Shamanistic ceremonies can often also include the use of herbs and substances to aid in healing and worship. The ritualistic use of peyote is common in many Native American tribes, chosen for its psychoactive properties that induce hallucinations. Native Americans do not take this substance recreationally. It is ingested as a tool in opening oneself and one's consciousness in order to facilitate healing. Peyote has garnered the approval of the United States government for these sanctioned uses despite being a scheduled narcotic. They have had to continually fight, despite the sanctioned use, to defend this exemption, as it is continually challenged by power-based social arrangements. Because it is essential to their religion, this is something that should not be illegal for natives to consume. Sage is another thing that is used in worship ceremonies. The smudging of sage is something that is used to ward away spirits and to usher in positive energy. Native sweat lodges are also used. Sweat lodges are used in a similar manner and can be above or underground. Native religions in the United States. Native American spiritual beliefs are often misrepresented due to a general lack of public knowledge surrounding the entirety of their culture. People often appropriate Native practices without a full understanding of the beliefs and history that stand behind them. Some examples of the practices that have been taken from Native spiritual conditions and are co-opted by members of the New Age movement include the use of sweat lodges, healing retreats, smudging with sage, and more. Not only is appropriating Native religions disrespectful to legitimate practitioners of Native spiritual beliefs and traditions, it can even be damaging. Many non-Indian professionals who believe they are using traditional Native American spiritual healing are under a mistaken, even dangerous impression. Despite this, one positive note on the use of sweat lodges, sage, and other Native American rituals is the fact that it has brought Native traditions to light, and there is less discrimination towards Native American peoples in the United States today. While Natives still face incredible struggles and challenges due to the marginalization of this group, bringing to light some of their spirituality as well as practices can open up their group to the greater understanding of the public and assist in advocacy for Native peoples across North America to move forward and to be integrated into the rest of the community.